Hey, welcome to your 2018 Mercedes Roadtrek Sprinter. So this is essentially the highest level of trim of Sprinter they made. This has all the bells and whistles, and today I'm just going to run you through how everything works for your trip to be enjoyable and to not be calling me, asking me with questions. It is very important that you watch this whole video. Since there are so many bells and whistles to this vehicle, there are some things that are not intuitive, but I will show you everything in the next 30 minutes. So, first of all, driving the vehicle, it is a diesel. If you do not fill this up with diesel, if you fill it up with gas, your entire security deposit is going to be taken and your trip's going to be ruined. So always make sure you're using the green pump. With a diesel vehicle, if you haven't driven one before, you turn it onto accessory mode, and I don't know if you saw the little coil, that is your glow plugs. If it's ever really cold, that coil glow plug light will stay on for around 5 seconds or so. You cannot turn on the vehicle while that is still on. Once it disappears, you're good to start the truck. Very low miles. This vehicle only has right around 39,000. Drives great. It's going to drive a little bit different than a gas truck if that's what you're used to. It's got a lot of torque, and it also gets around 15 to 18 miles per gallon highway, depending on how you drive. Your cruise control is right up here. Mercedes does a little weird, so stuff's in different places, but you will get used to it. This is your blinkers as well as your wiper. You have to twist this to get fluid to come out. Headlights are always on. All of these buttons here you don't need to worry about. They are just for things that are a little bit more complicated than the scope of the rental. Right here is heated seats. You can adjust the temperature. This, very important, this button locks the whole van. So that means side doors, back sliding door, and also the rear doors of the van. So if you ever have these front doors unlocked, but those other doors are still locked, you can just press this. That'll lock and unlock. And of course the key does that as well. You just have to press unlock a couple times. This has Bluetooth. I will admit it is not the easiest to connect, but pretty much you just have to add a phone. This is power on, power off right here. For the sake of time, I'm not going to go through all that, but it is pretty easy to figure out. So these captain seats are very nice. They both completely rotate around. So you pull this lever here to the side and it will rotate all the way around. And so when you're at your campsites, you can sit in those. Driver's seat, same process. And then your table that pops up will go right here, and you'll be able to dine right here as well as in the back. There's another table for the back benches, which I'll show you in a second. Up here, you should never need to deal with this, but it's always good to know because stuff can happen with RVs. This is your breaker box. Just standard policy with both of these. Never mess with them unless you're on the phone with me, and we've already gone through other diagnostic. That is your fuse box. And then going over here, this is your fridge. So this is always running. It's powered off the batteries and solar. I'll have this cooled down for you before your booking. Up here, very important, these are the switches for all 4 of your batteries. This RV is a little bit different than other ones. The generator that charges all the batteries is actually just a bigger alternator on the engine. So whenever you're idling the truck, that is going to be charging these batteries back here. There is no onboard generator. If you're familiar with other RVs, those will have a start and stop somewhere in the coach. This is just when the truck's on. So also while you're driving, that is going to charge your batteries back here. And so if you ever flip these off, first of all, I would never touch these, but if for some reason all of them get shut off, you are going to have no power to the coach. So always make sure these lights are blue. If there's ever a fault, which is extremely unlikely, but you can just turn it off, flip the reset, and turn it back on. Your voltage is right here. Always be keeping an eye on this. So since everything in this RV is electric powered, there's actually no propane, nothing like that. You always want to be keeping an eye on the battery. So right now, it's in its charging state because the truck's on. When I turn it off, it is just going to be charging with solar. So you can see the voltage drop a little bit. If this voltage ever gets to 12.5, 12.4, that's when you need to immediately turn on the truck and get everything charging again. Because if you drop it below that, it'll damage the batteries. If I ever have to come and do an on-site low battery trickle charge or anything like that, or replace a battery because you drained it, that is going to be your whole security deposit gone. So again, no fun. The water pump, just good policy to have this off while you're driving. You'll see that this is your sink right here. When I turn this on, barely any water pressure. When I turn this water pump on here, that will pick up. And just with this one, hot is back, cold is right around there, off is there. And so this is one of the bells and whistles I was talking about right here. This is essentially a kettle. So this provides boiling hot, instant drinking water. You can set the temperature right here. This is essentially low, this is high. You can figure out what's a good temperature depending on if it's tea, coffee, anything like that. And then you would just pull these levers to do that. Super convenient. Going over here, this is your inverter. So what this is powering is your convection oven / microwave right here, as well as the fridge. So good policy to just leave this on. If you ever don't have power to either of those, that is because this inverter is most likely off. So just make sure that stays on. This will also power the AC back there. There is a second inverter as well, which you turn on right here. That is your induction cooktop. And then you've got all sorts of stuff included: mugs, plates, bowls. All these cabinets lock just by pressing in. So stuff's not swinging around while you're driving. These are both induction friendly. You obviously just press power, set your temperature. Toaster, some bowls just for storing leftovers. Right here, that's that instant hot water I was talking about. Up here, this is your solar controller. Both blinking is good. That means it's charging. If it's ever orange or red, we've got a problem. Let me know if that is happening. Just some wipes for you, some extra storage space. And then, yeah, there's a lot of compartments in this. So even though it is a smaller van, it makes everything pretty easy for camping. And so the shower, both of these doors open for that. There's also your toilets in here, which is just a foot flush. Very important. Only RV grade toilet paper can go down there. Nothing else. Otherwise, you're going to have a clogged pump and your black tank's going to back up, which again is no fun for anybody. You have a sink right here. And when you're showering, you can actually get a little bit more space. I'm going to turn the light on real quick. You can get a little bit more space just by locking this latch right here. One of these days I'll figure it out. Locking the latch right there, and your shower curtains right here. Of course, put that around so it doesn't leak. I'm 6'3" and I just go right against the ceiling. It can be a little tight, but it's a van. And yeah, of course, just a regular faucet, turn that, and for shower, you're gonna pull that up. All these lights turn on like so. And then back here, you've got a couple nice features. So for cooling the fan off, I usually recommend using this. This is an automatic cooling fan right here, and you can set it to whatever temperature you like. I always recommend using this over the AC. This is gonna use way less power, and it'll keep everything very cool except for the super hot days. It'll automatically detect if there's rain and it'll close it, so you don't have to worry about that. You can set the temperature to whatever you like. It's got a built-in thermostat. Going to turn it off right now. And then right here, this is where it does get a little bit complicated, so pay close attention. Right here, this Aldi system is your thermostat for the heat in the van. There's radiant heated floors, as well as your hot water. So when you go to menu, right here is the thermostat, so heat will kick on when it drops below 63 degrees. This is your water temperature. You can adjust this if you ever want it really hot for some reason, and it'll boost the temperature for 30 minutes. And then this is just pretty much saying it's on electric mode. Ignore the gas. This doesn't have propane since it's solar only. And then also right here, if you're off grid and don't want to drain your batteries, say you're running a bunch of stuff, you're running the electric water heater, the floor heating, you're cooking, doing all that, then you're going to want to use the diesel instead. This essentially just switches the power source from electric to diesel. When you press the summer pump button, that will make it so it only heats it up in the water tank. It won't heat the floors, so you know it won't turn into a sauna. You'll hear that fire on. It'll smell like diesel for a second. That's totally normal. So again, when you get to your campsites, just if you say just want hot water, just turn this on. And then if you want to run it off diesel, just make sure to set it with this button on and the summer pump on. But yeah, there's also up in here the full instruction manual on how that works. If you do have any more questions, it is in this black binder right here. So read through all of that before you call me. That'll usually give you a quicker answer. And then going over here, this is your AC. So I am turning that on right now. You press it again to cycle the mode. It is in auto mode now, so that'll kick on in a second. Now there we go. And this, very important to keep in mind, the AC will sap your power within 12 hours at the very most. So only use the AC if you're plugged into shore power, or if you're plugged into, or if your truck is running, which is going to be powering the batteries back here. Otherwise, it is going to sap those batteries super quick. So you've got outlets here. These are also powered by the inverter. The inverter switch we turned on over there. So if those aren't working, that's why. You've got lights back here. There's speakers. It's a full surround sound system. And then you've got a little fan as well, if you just want to cool it down without the AC. A bunch of storage compartments back here. And this is your memory foam topper. It's a little, you can see it's a little faded on the surface. I guarantee you it's clean. We like to keep things clean around here. This bed is one of the nicest beds that I have seen in an RV. It's a full king size, and it automatically converts with this switch right here. So when you hold that down, this is going to flatten out into that bed, go all the way down, and then underneath here you have your support piece that goes across here. That'll just secure in those grooves, and then you grab both of these cushions right here, and that I can't do that with one hand, but yes, that will just turn to a full bed. You've got your sheets right up here, and you have your extra pillows and comforter right there. Things can get moved around, but just use common sense and take a look through the cabinets. Towels right there as well. This is also to change it between like movie settings if you're watching on the TV back here for surround sound, or just automotive if you're driving. This is of course powered off the inverter, 120 volt. You can play movies off there, and that's just a cover for the TV. Okay, so I am going to put this bed back up. Just holding down the button. I'm going to put these cushions back up here. Going to lift this and slide it back underneath. And we are all good to go. This is your rear table. So your post is right there, and then your tabletop is this guy right here. If you want to eat back here, you can do that. And that is pretty much everything in the rear of the van. Okay, so now this inverter right here, whenever you're driving, always good to turn that off, because you're never going to be cooking while driving, hopefully not, or using the rear AC, since your truck AC will be going, which will just blow out of the vents there. And then let's see, so patio lights, if you're ever out at night, that'll illuminate that. The fresh level sensor it's not accurate. The common sense way is when it backs out, this is your freshwater fill. When your hose, starts squirting water out of there, your tank's full. And if you're conservative with showers, that's gonna last you for about 2 days for 2 people off grid. I believe it's 20 gallons or so. This is your battery disconnect. This is gonna kill all power to everything in the rear RV. So if that's accidentally bumped, this is your first thing to check. Black tank is everything from the toilets. Gray is everything from the sink and shower. So keep an eye on those. If it starts, let me throw these pillows in the back. If it starts to back up in the sink, then you've got a full tank. I guarantee you it's not a clog, unless you were pouring straight grease down there. Okay, so again, just to summarize, batteries, instruction manuals. This is for every system in the RV, so that's always a good resource. And then you have these cabinets here as well for extra storage. Okay, and then coming outside, this is a full canopy awning. That is controlled by this switch right here. So you're gonna hold out, and this is all gonna go fully out to give you some shade. A little creaking's normal. This is exposed to dirt all the time, so nothing to worry about there. And always put it fully out. It's never halfway in between, and always retract it fully before driving. And so if you overextend it, all the canopy droops. Pull it back a little until it's tight, and you're good there. You can leave it like this. This is usually the easiest way. If there's ever any wind, immediately pull it back in. Again, if this blows away while you're renting it, that is your whole security deposit gone. But these posts right here, you just pull this lever, these come out. You can either set them on the ground or you can hook them right into that bracket right there. Again, for the sake of time, I am not going to do all this. I'm going to put this back up. Going to rotate this around and put it right up flush with this little washer right here so it doesn't fall back down, and then lock it out. Same exact thing on the other side. Now I'm going to pull this fully in. While we're doing that, fire extinguisher down there. Hopefully you don't need it, but if you light the RV on fire, it can be good to have. Okay, so that is still coming, still going back in all the way until it stops by itself. This step, you may notice, doesn't go back in when you shut all the doors. But when you start the engine, you'll hear it go back in. So you never have to worry about like, oh, why isn't this going back in? What's going on? Just start the truck and that'll be taken care of. Okay, that is everything there. This can go across for privacy. There's blinds and curtains for all the windows. Tires are brand new. And then starting on the outside. So I kind of embarrassed how long it took me to figure out the first time I got this RV. This, you can see it looks like a normal body panel. This is actually your diesel fill. So right here, just unscrew it. And remember, green nozzle, only diesel in this thing. Another thing to keep in mind, this is just me asking nicely because it'll give me less problems for maintenance down the road. Make sure you're never using like 10% biodiesel. You'll see that at some stations. Always make sure it's B5 at the very most, and that would be appreciated. Okay, going right here. This is a secret button that will actually, when you get both of these things out and pull this guy out right here, this dumps both your black and your gray tanks. So you turn this lever right here. Of course, this is going to be put in an actual sewer dump, not just the grounds. I'm just dumping fresh water right now, so this is allowed. This is your gray tank. So again, everything from the showers and the sinks. I'm going to pull that fully out. And this is your black tank. Again, stuff's going to start pouring out, so you want this in the ground. And then once both of those guys are out, you can hold this button and that will completely dump the tank. It crushes up anything in the black tank and blasts it out, which is why I said that only RV grade toilet paper can go down there. Because we don't want to clog. But yeah, you will just put this guy back in, close this lever off, push it all the way back in, and store it nice and tight right there. This is your city water connection. So if you're at an RV campsite and don't want to worry about the fresh water tank, and how much you've used. Hook a hose directly to there, and that'll just give you unlimited water supply. When you are connected to city water, you don't need to use the water pump. Back here is your 30 amp electrical, and it is a special connection, but when we go to the back of the van, we got all sorts of fun stuff in here. So you've got a mosquito screen as well, so you can have the back doors open while you're sleeping, which can be kind of nice. But this is your connection right here, and this is what right over here, this is what 90% of RV hookups are going to look like. So you do have adapters if you ever need to run regular household 15 amp. Just keep in mind that is not going to power the AC and microwave at the same time, and you're going to blow the breaker and wherever you're connected to. So this, very self-explanatory. I'm not going to do this all right now, but that outlet that I showed you right here, you press into it and twist, and then that light will illuminate and you will have power to everything in the RV. Don't have to worry about discharging solar. You can run the AC as much as you want. There's other things in here like your freshwater hose, your jumper cables, which hopefully you shouldn't need, but if you do mess up and drain the battery, those are there. These are not to be used. You should never need to top off oil, never need to top off DEF fluid, unless there's some situation where you're driving like 2,000 miles. In that case, call me before you do either of these. I'll run you through that process. These doors are also pretty fancy. What they do is the bracket pops out and they rotate all the way around, and there's a magnet back there. So if you want to do that, be my guest. They go back in just like so. And yes, that is pretty much everything in the back. Got a reverse camera up there. I am going to shut this up. Of course, close this door first. Another common sense thing, but of course, you know Mercedes, this is probably $600 to replace this. If you close it in the opposite orientation, it's going to snap off and nobody will know you're driving a Mercedes. Okay, that is pretty much it. Oh, one more thing I missed. There's a full sunshade underneath the rear and that back door that goes over the front windshield and provides privacy if you do need that. So that is everything in this RV right here. If you paid attention to this, your trip is going to go very smoothly, and this is a really reliable van, so you're going to have a great time. Thank you. See you on your trip. Bye.